Today we're talking about publishing your book in a month, the 20 steps and tools that you might want and need in order to do that. So your book idea does not belong in your head. As you know, that's why you're here or watching the replay. You want your idea to be in the hands of readers, to be helping readers. Specifically, we are talking about nonfiction books today. You could use some of these exact same steps to publish your own fiction book for sure. But a lot of the marketing tips and different tips are going to apply mainly to a nonfiction book that is meant to help your readers, teach them something useful, increase their skills. It's coming from your expertise. Your skills, your knowledge, etc. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to go over 8 reasons to self-publish your nonfiction book, even in the current climate, or rather, I should say, especially in the current climate. We're going to talk about, and anyone watching the replay, the current climate is March 2020, so you can look that one up. Somebody might be watching this 10 years later, I don't know. Anyway, then number 2, we're going to talk about the 20 steps of planning, publishing, and selling your own book. Number 3, we're going to cover the 5 profitable approaches to self-publishing. There are probably other approaches. These are going to be, I should say, my 5 favorite and easiest to understand and easiest to implement and quickest to implement profitable approaches to self-publishing. We'll go over some formulas for your book sales page, some special requirements you can't ignore for the key formats, print books, eBooks, audiobooks, etc. Your distribution options, this one is cool to know. Definitely pay attention. And if you have to leave, watch the replay. This is really good to know, especially if you want your book to get into a bookstore eventually when those are open again. This is going to be, you're going to want to, if you want your book to even get into a library or something like that, you'll see on one of the 20 steps where you would actually set that up. Anyway, moving on. We'll do an example book sales funnel that you can steal, and then we will talk about the inexpensive and free tools that are going to allow you to plan, write, publish, design, publish, and promote your book. All right. So if you're not familiar, I'm Regina. Ali introduced herself a second ago. I definitely believe in the power of self-publishing, especially in the current climate. Back in 2013, I self-published my first book and had to kind of slowly learn all of the, I mean, I did so much trial and error with the first 2 print books that I created. But I had to slowly learn, you know, for myself and see for myself these major benefits and ways that you could take advantage of publishing if you treat it like a real business model, you know, or you're adding it to your overall business model, you're making it part of your revenue model, however you want to say that. So then fast forward a year and some change later, now at the end of 2014, well, throughout 2014, I learned some more stuff. And then at the end of 2014, I published a book that has brought in a full-time income by itself every single year since its release. And these first 2 print books that I published use 2 of the different models that we're going to talk about in a second, the 5 profitable self-publishing models. So we'll get into those shortly. But for now, let's talk about 8 reasons to self-publish your book in the current climate. And actually, I did this video a couple years ago, and I was talking about self-publishing, and these are the exact same 8 reasons, but they apply. The point of the video was that if you have a climate such as the economy, you know, taking a downturn or things like that, this is why self-publishing is good. So that was the point of the video, and the concepts still apply. So first thing is, people are going to shift the amount of money they spend in the current climate, but they're not going to shift the fact that they are spending on things like gaining new skills, getting educated, maybe trying to position themselves in a new place within their career, have additional skills that will allow them to change jobs, have additional skills in their business that will allow them to whatever, right? So, or have a more additional skills in their home as far as organizing their home, homeschooling kids, et cetera, et cetera. So people are not going to change the fact that they're spending on tools for a better life. The question is, how do they define better life as it relates to what you do? Do they define a better life with less financial stress, and so therefore they would pay to help with budgeting? Do they define better life as, you know, having their kids do XYZ or learning a language or whatever? So they're not going to not spend, but they might shift how they spend, the decisions they make as far as amount, et cetera, et cetera. So the great thing is, if you publish a very helpful book, your book can meet them at the price point that they're willing to pay, if that makes sense. Second reason, books are usually same-day decisions for most buyers, okay? The sales cycle is short on a book. It doesn't take weeks to close the customer. Months to close the customer. Most decisions are same day. Now, I'm not saying that you haven't put a book into your Amazon cart and let it sit there for a year or whatever it may be, but when somebody is motivated to solve a problem, get something done, a book that's in the $30 or under price range is usually a same day decision for most buyers. And part of that is due to another point that you'll see in a second. Books are very familiar products. When you look, well, I'll get there in a second. Okay. Publishing a valuable book can give you a paid way to build your audience on a search engine that is literally just filled with people who are there to buy stuff. If you think about search engines like Amazon.com or even BarnesandNoble.com, I have some, so I listed my books there too, or sold my books there too. It's because if you're on BarnesandNoble.com, if you're on Amazon.com, you, especially Amazon, you already even have your credit card details and all kinds of stuff loaded up for the average shopper using Amazon. People don't go on Amazon to catch the news, catch up with friends, goof around. I will say, yes, you might have somebody who's window shopping in the sense they don't intend to buy the thing right that moment, but they're researching products they want to buy, right? So it is literally a search engine. Hey, but you know, marketing for small business or home gardening, or you know, the books, talking about books here, but also other stuff, you can buy other stuff. But anyway, it's literally a search engine that is just set up to help people find items they want to buy, right? So when I say a paid way to build your audience, what's interesting is, because Amazon is a search engine, there are a lot of people who have told me, and I'm sure it's happened to many other people, I found you through your book. Like, I purchased your book, didn't know who you were, purchased your book, found your URL inside the book somewhere, or the back cover, whatever, went to the site, then signed up for your email list, then did this, then bought this and that course, right? And so literally it is, Amazon.com is a search engine where people who have never heard of me, never heard of you, could be finding us every single day, and it really actually does happen. And then it's a paid search engine in one sense, right? Because they're finding you, they're buying your stuff, you're making a little money, and that doesn't hurt. Next thing, books are a familiar product, right? It's not going to take this heavy, long explanation moment to convince somebody, you know, what the type of product is and that it's valuable, right? You might have to explain your group coaching program 87 times, right? And then, okay, well, does it include live? Okay, well, so what do you mean group, da 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 da? You know, you might have to explain a mastermind 700 times, your subscription service in 500 different ways. I'm being dramatic. But a book, we get it. It is a book. You read it, you open it, or if you have it on your device, you know, we get it. We know what it is. They've been around for as long as we've been around. Let me not just press random buttons there. Books are often purchased for the content over the author. So you don't need a lot of stuff here. You don't need to have pre-built all this, you know, crazy sold out fans who are like, yeah, I love this person so much. It's the content. It's what I want to learn. In fact, if you like looking at my books, I would say, and y'all type this in the chat too, of all the books you own, how many did you buy just because you liked the author? Because there are some people that I want to support. I'm looking at this book by Common. I'm looking at a few books here that I bought because of the author, Trevor Noah, you know, when it comes to a memoir, stuff like that. But all the other, including fiction, for me, I bought because I wanted what was inside, the knowledge or the entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to check in on the chat for a second. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, just checking in on the chat for the first time. I've always wanted to write a book even before I thought I would ever be using social media. Okay, love that. Okay, let's see. All right, cool. So, books are purchased because of the content over the author most times, right? So this means that, again, you don't need people who are just like, yeah, I love her so much, I love it, whatever, you know, him so much. You don't need to have, you know, a list of 87 credentials. It is, can this book help me with my problem or not? You know, what are the chapters, what's the outline, what is the front cover and back cover communicating to me about what you're going to get out of this. Hold on, I want to read this comment. Okay, yeah, okay, it's a great moment to start with Amazon, is what Dr. Barbara's saying in the chat. Okay, cool. All right, so next up, the ebook version of your idea, depending on who you are, could be ready in a few days, it has been done, or a few weeks, right? So this month, you could get the digital version of your book published, which I highly recommend during the current climate. Having, even if you want to have print book, listen, still do that, because there are people like me who want the print book. But I will say, during this current climate, shipping of certain non-essential items, right, has been, you know, delayed. And so I have seen people, you know, I've seen it be estimates of up to a month later where you would get a print book that's not an essential item. So somebody might opt for digital where they would normally buy print, or if they're like me, they would buy print anyway and wait for it and then just maybe get the digital one to start. So I would really recommend looking into the ebook version and the audiobook version. Some people say ebook, p-book for electronic audio and print. But anyway, the ebook and audiobook version, because that's something that people can, not only will they make that same day buying decision, but they know they can start listening to the book or reading the book immediately. Your book can be ready in a few days or weeks. I do highly recommend that you get some professional editing done on your book. So I'm not saying throw anything together and put it up on Amazon tomorrow. You could do that. People do that. But I really recommend getting it edited, doing an edit yourself, but then getting it edited, because those errors will reduce your credibility with people, with most people, right? Okay, number 7, a low-cost book can still be a key part of your revenue model, or your arsenal, if you will, when the economy shifts back up. And people, maybe they're back to buying their $2,000 courses, they're back to buying masterminds and flying in person to a lodge in Wisconsin, I don't know, whatever, wherever they are going for these in-person things. Even when they're back to doing that, people are still buying books. So it can still be a key part of your revenue model. But definitely, right, it could be a key part of your revenue model when the economy is in a recession, when people are, you know, in their homes for the most part, if they can be. Some people can't be, but you get the point. Number 8, and this one is a big one, IMO. Your competitors right now, and I'm sure y'all have noticed, and you can type in the chat if you have noticed, your competitors right now are still trying to figure out how to sell the same stuff that they were selling before. They're trying to figure out how to sell it in the current climate. So they're changing the price, they're repackaging things a little bit, but they don't want to let go of their, you know, several $1,000 mastermind, or they can't, right? They've already sold tickets to this crazy in-person event, or this mastermind that lasts for 9 months, and then there are going to be some in-person meetings, and they're having to figure out how to deliver when people can't travel, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of your competitors, they're still trying to figure out how to sell the same stuff, because they you know, have spent a lot of time getting the, you know, $1,000 course together, or whatever it might be, $5,000 course together, and so they want to sell that thing. You, however, can come along, because you have an opportunity here to publish one of the most up-to-date and time-sensitive guides in your industry. Up-to-date, what do I mean? Even for your competitors who have created a book on the topic, they did it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 18 years ago. So now you can have a more up-to-date version of whatever it is, whether it's talking about gardening, homeschooling, business, whatever, creative process, etc. And also it can be time sensitive. A lot of people's books and things that they wrote were written during a time where the world looked different than it does now. So if you have a book that is more recognizing of the times, people are having to meet and teach and do things online. We're not leaving our houses much. Shipping is majorly delayed. You can't just go to the fabric store and go get all the crafts you need to do XYZ, right? There are different things that are going on, and your guide can be sensitive to what's actually possible for people. Does this make sense? Our 8 reasons. And do y'all agree with them? And are y'all excited? And all of the questions. Okay, I'll check in on the chat in a second. You will get a copy of these slides, but I will not be offended if you want to take a screenshot of this, because these are the 20 steps of planning, writing, and publishing your own nonfiction book. Let's see. I'm thinking about writing a book on the different aspects of aromatherapy and using it as like a quick win information product to lead to my aromatherapy diploma course. I love that. Using the material in it, and you can use the material in the book in a class, like a one-off class on Zoom. Exactly, so much. I love it. Okay, cool. Oh, look, great. Link in the chat from Dr. Barbara. Awesome. Yes, amen to editing, says Paula. Exactly. This guide helped me so much through my self-publishing journey, says Michelle. Yes, and look, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Hold on, wait, y'all. Wait for it. Let me show you the books that I have on my shelf by people that I have worked with in real life. And by in real life, I do kind of mean on the line. Oh no, actually, I've seen all of you in real life, I think. So Michelle's book, Dalia, una colección de historias cortas. So short stories. Hi. And then I have by Darcy, Bring in Donuts, and 35 other sweet tips to transform your career today. Then I have Chef Evelyn's book, A Fabulous Year in Food, 52 delicious ways to connect with family and friends. So Dalia, y Bring in Donuts, y Year in Food sit on my shelf at all times. And there's some more, I think, but those were an easy grabbing distance. So yeah, so people, yes, people have really published their stuff. It's really possible. And I know, right, Darcy? Yeah, and it's in print. And how exciting was it, Michelle, when you got your book and like held it and could like read your book in print? I still will not ever get over the feeling of getting my first book. So funny. Yeah, agree. Thank you. Anyway, so all right, so the 20 steps, getting back to my presentation, if you will, the 20 steps of planning, writing, and publishing your nonfiction book. Okay, so I'm going to kind of briefly go over these, but we're going to dive further into some of the like super duper important ones. So all of them are important. Number 1 is to set your book goals and be clear. And what I mean by this is, are you using it at the beginning of a funnel? Do you know that you're going to be pitching people let's say a $300 course, and you want to have this book available as a downsell if people don't buy your course? So are you using it towards the end of a funnel? Do you want it to kind of be a conversation starter? Do you want it to be a professional kind of signature in your signature line, right? You can sign off your emails, your professional emails as, you know, Mike, comma, author of blank, 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 the ultimate guide to blank, right? To make it, just to have that, right? Also, right, with speaking opportunities and stuff like that, when we have in-person conferences make their way back onto the scene, but even right now with landing podcast opportunities and landing virtual conference opportunities, having that little piece, that signature line, or being the author of this official book can look good. So what is your goal? Or is it you're like, listen, no, I actually would like this. I want to publish an ultimate guide. I want to publish a tool or a book that is so helpful that it gets the number of sales per month that it could actually kind of make a full-time income on its own. So it will relieve a lot of financial stress. Is that your goal? Because if you're trying to make a full-time income with one book, or if you're publishing a book that you want to be a series of the, over the next, before the end of the year, you want to publish 5 books and you want those 5 books to make a full-time income on their own, then you're going to have different strategies than if you're just wanting the book to kind of help you look more professional. Does that make sense? All right. Then you're going to choose one of the 5 most profitable approaches to self-publishing, which we'll cover. You're going to firm up your book idea and outline it. Create your book planning and promo hub. I personally like to use a tool like Asana. A lot of people like Trello. A lot of people like Evernote. There will be a lot of different tools that you can use. You could just even use Google Drive. But the idea is that you have some place in the cloud, please, that is being backed up. Please. Oh my gosh, I had a freak out moment one time where a designer was laying out my book, and it was the only copy, which was so smart, and like accidentally deleted everything, and it was like, I don't know, 150 pages, and that was the day we discovered the feature in Dropbox where you could go find a different version or a previous version of your file or whatever. But anyway, my whole point is, y'all, please, 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 somewhere safe, but have some backups. But anyway, you guys get the point. Title and subtitle your book. You're gonna then write. This is my process. I like to write and edit and get somebody to review about the first third of my book. This is arbitrary. If it's a quarter of your book, if it's 1 or 2 chapters, whatever it might be, it's fine. But enough of a chunk that you can reread it and go, all right, I'm on the right track. I'm feeling good. This is helpful. This is turning out well. I don't hate life right now. And then you can also throw it over to a potential customer type, like somebody who fits your customer profile and would be willing to review for you, or a peer reviewer who has enough knowledge in whatever industry you're talking about, so that if there's some major flaws, or if they're just really like kind of like, I'm not thinking you're making sense, they could speak to it. Okay. Step 6. Okay, now step 7 is deciding the formats that you're going to publish and publish your book in, and then how you're going to distribute it. And that's going to be a really interesting portion of this presentation. So stick with me or watch the replay. When you watch the replay, you could probably like fast forward me to like 1.5x so that I don't annoy you as much. But anyway, okay, so deciding the formats. So by this I mean print book, ebook, audiobook, etc. And then the distribution. All right. Number 8, pricing your book and definitely understanding profit margins. So this book that I talked to y'all about that was started making it a full-time income on its own for the last like 5 years. The key thing, hold on, flipping back here. The key thing that I understood before I even ever listed it for sale was that the way profits worked, the way money works, is that I was going to see about $8. I think it's $8 and some number of cents is the official thing, and it's been years since I looked at this. But anyway, I knew I was going to make, let's just say $8.50 every time the book sold. Like that was actually going to be the profit. The Regina gets this in her pocket/bank account, right? And so that helped me understand like how many copies I might want to sell in a given month to hit my goals, which my goals were way lower. Like I didn't even know really honestly that it was possible to self-publish a book and have it make a full-time income at the time. And so my goals were way lower, but I knew how to set them based on the profit from each book, the profit margin in this case being, I think it was like a little under 50% was the profit margin, okay? And that's because I had another company printing it up for me every single time an order happened, and I had Amazon, and then Amazon.com shipping it out for me to customers every single time an order happened. So I've never had to carry inventory on the book, and many of you are familiar with that process. I used a tool called createspace.com, which was is an Amazon company. They have rolled everything into KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. And with KDP, you can publish print books on Amazon.com, eBooks on Amazon, new stuff. Anyway, you can publish your books. All right. Number 9 is creating your book marketing plan. Number 10, creating your book cover, or you could hire a designer to do so. And then starting the buzz about your upcoming book release, okay? 11, you're going to want to start to create the visual collateral you need, marketing collateral you need, social media graphics, all of the good stuff, mock-ups, all of the good stuff to actually promote your book. Number 12, create a landing page and an opt-in gift so that you can start collecting email addresses, and we'll look at some formulas for landing pages in a second. At that point, I like to write the next third of my book to make sure, hey, I'm going to get this out in the timeline that I wanted to. You're going to want to, for most people, create your publishing house and get legit. And so what I mean by that is if you want an official, awesome ISBN on the back of your book, you could let a company like Amazon put their own ISBN on it, like these different print companies will do that. Or you could go out and form a business entity. An example of one in the States, in most states, would be an LLC, a limited liability company. You could form an entity, a business entity, name it Super Duper Publishing, whatever your name is, and have that entity buy your ISBN or buy a set of ISBN for you. Such that you have a separate publishing house, and the publishing house listed on your book and on the official sales page on Amazon and other places would be that Super Duper Publishing, or whatever it is that you choose to name it, okay? Number 15, you can begin to pre-sell your book. This is optional. You will want to lay out your book's interior. You can use software like Adobe InDesign. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I use Apple Pages most of the time. More often than not, if I've done it, it's Apple Pages, even though I do love Adobe InDesign, and there are other tools as well. Then you're going to write the last third of the book, get the whole thing edited, which can take a while, because I would personally recommend you do an edit, you give it to somebody to do an edit, you give it to somebody else to do an edit. That's my personal process. If you only hire one editor, totally understandable. After that, you're going to apply for an ISBN. And it's not like apply because you might get rejected. They might be like, no ISBNs for you. It's not really how it works. It's just paying for an ISBN, really, is how it should be said. But anyway, you can buy one at a time. You can buy 10 at a time for a reduced price if you know you're going to publish multiple formats, versions of your book, and or multiple books. Okay, so an ISBN lets you make a barcode and have this unique barcode on your book so that it can be sold in stores and so that it is distinguishable from another book that might have the exact same name. You want a cataloging and publication record if you want your book to go to libraries eventually, and then you'll want to do your official copyright at some point. Okay, sorry, Apple Pages is great. You can use it online if you don't have a Mac. True. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Thank you. Okay. And then you're gonna, number 19, order a physical proof copy. It's called a proof, but order a physical copy of your book. Do that edit one more time. Definitely, I learned some stuff when I looked at my book in print for the first time, even though with Amazon especially, they have a tool that kind of lays it out for you and it looks like a real life book on your screen, so you can kind of see how it's going to look. Even still, like having it, in my hand, seeing the thickness of the paper, all of that stuff had me making some last minute changes sometimes. And then also it's great to actually edit the book like this. So there will be a final version of any of my books that, had a physical editor who I know in person edit through it, or my own notes. And then finally, when you're done proofing and making your changes, you're going to publish it and take it live. And then if you haven't already done so, you'll enable some of your book's key sales funnels. Okay. All right, y'all. So we talked about the 8 reasons to self-publish your nonfiction book, especially in this current climate. It's the way to say that in English. We talked about the 20 steps of planning, publishing, and selling your own book. And now let's talk about the 5 profitable approaches to self-publishing. And then we're still going to hit the formulas for your sales page. And one of my favorite sections is the distribution options, because I find that that a lot of times people aren't as familiar with those options. I know I wasn't when I first got started. Okay, so the 5 profitable approaches to self-publishing, and we'll dive into each of these as example: target method, complement method, ultimate, Rocky Balboa, and unofficial virtual assistant method. Okay, so with the target method, this means niching down and getting more specific with who you are targeting and what you're trying to help them with. So you're addressing a specific pain point for a specific person, right? So this is good for you because you get to focus your marketing efforts really easily, because the person is specific. Oh, I want to market, I want to write a book for new parents who are in their first year of you know, the whole parent experience, or I'm writing a book just for people who are pregnant or considering getting pregnant, you know, things like that, right? Or I don't know why I'm using all of those examples, but anyway, I'm writing a book just for people who sell their own handmade products on Etsy or on their own website. What do you do right now during this time, right? And I want to write a book just for that, okay? And it allows you to create your book quickly, because a book that's a very specific pain point, addressing a very specific need for a very specific person, usually doesn't take 500 pages or even 200 pages or anything like that. So the example here is a book that I think is about 70 pages, and the type is really big. So in real life world, the book might be all of 20, 30 pages, I don't know, right? Just about launching a podcast, for example, with this book. So practically looking at this, instead of trying to write this like ultimate guide on copywriting, you could narrow it down and really far and help people write an epic sales page. Or you could narrow it down really, really far and help people write a sales page for their group coaching program, okay? Instead of writing a book on yoga, massive topic. I literally have 20 books on yoga on my shelf right now, and they are just the massive differences between them. You could do yoga for beginners. That's you know, or yoga for people who think, you know, they hate it, but they also want to love it, like, or whatever, right? Or really specific.
Can I add on that? I have purchased so many of those mini pieces. Like for as a copywriter, you don't want to get a book that may be outdated on copywriting, like it's this big. But you know, I have so many of these print-on-demand Amazon books where it's like how to double your output, or how to write this one specific thing, right? To niche it down like that.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And sorry, I just was catching up on the chat. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. So yoga for newbies 60 plus. Okay, you guys get the point. All right, then we have the complement method. You're using this method when you create a book that complements an existing product or service of yours. So you might have a talk that you do that used to be in person and now you do it online, that you normally do for different organizations or whatever. So a workshop, a talk, a speech that you do, even a course, and you could design the workbook that helps people. It could be like the follow along companion of that, right? Number 3 here, if you will. The complement method can really reduce the amount of time that it will take you to get something to market, because you're building on something that you've already created. So I did this in real life because I was teaching in-person business classes, and due to taking a bunch of coffee meetings and teaching classes and not having a book, and then realizing like, oh, I forgot to tell them this and this and this, and going, no, I just want one resource where everything I want to say on this topic is there, so that even if I forget to tell somebody something in a live workshop or a live coffee meeting, let me pick your brain, it's in the book. So anyway, so I created a follow along manual and workbook to go with what I was teaching in real life. I like the complement method because as a newbie to publishing, but not a newbie to life, you already have things that you teach. You've been creating a show on YouTube for the last X number of years. You Facebook Live a lot. You have a blog. You've been doing this as your job for 23 years, whatever it is. If you have something already created, material already created on something, you're just a newbie to self-publishing, but not new to the topic, and you can get something out there quickly, right? So this is your freelance interior designer who is providing some type of workbook that helps clients choose their style, define their style. And then this interior designer can also make that available for non-clients as well. For clients, I want you to define your style before we start our project. For non-clients, hey, I don't live in your city. I can't come to your city right now. I can't provide you these services. You don't want to make the investment in my services right now. So just grab my my define your style book. Okay, you get it. Blah, blah, blah. You see these examples. Y'all will see these slides later. So anyway, the ultimate method. All right, you can absolutely shine on the competition by creating this ultimate resource for a key part of your niche, a key part of your industry, or your industry at large. I can't speak English. These are going to typically take a little bit longer to create, right? Because in essence, when you go ultimate, you're kind of saying like, you're not ever going to need another book on this topic. Okay, I mean, you're not, maybe you are really saying that, but that's what you're trying to put together. Like, I have created the ultimate guide to sea glass, as is the example, right? You don't need another book on sea glass, just get my book on sea glass, or whatever it is, right? Okay, so yeah, you guys can totally check out these examples later when you get the slides. Rocky Balboa method is kind of probably what it sounds like to you, but it's when you Balboa, you're self-publishing by creating the thing, the sequel to the thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So you'll have a very clear publishing direction for the next 6 months, for the next year. If you know, first I'm going to create vegan breakfasts for champions, and then I want to create vegan lunches and dinners for champions, and then I want to create vegan desserts and I don't know, whatever, you guys get the point. Or, you know, the blogger's guide to Instagram, the blogger's guide to Pinterest, the blogger's guide to Facebook Live, crocheting socks plus 20 patterns, crocheting hats plus 20 patterns, crocheting whatever else you can, scarves plus 20 patterns. I don't know, y'all. I don't crochet. I wish I did. Okay, you guys get it. So Balboa, y'all might know the movie's called Rocky. There were like 2,000 of them. 2,000 is the legitimate actual term. All right. The unofficial virtual assistant method, this is the method that I used for my second print published book, okay? So, hey, I wanna help my audience do something, right? They have this goal, and I'm gonna create more of a tool than a book. This is kind of what we're saying here. So this could be things like a planner, a tracker, your fitness tracker, a devotional, a guided journal, some type of specialized scheduler that people use that helps them basically, what a virtual assistant or what an assistant would come along and do, right, would totally be tracking all of our progress in blank, would help us plan out, you know, the next 6 months of content for our business, all of this stuff that an assistant would do, or sometimes an app. Literally think about all the apps in your industry, right? Fitness industry, whatever it is that you're in, think about the apps. What do they do? Okay, this one you can track your calories every day and do this and do that and do this. Some people are going to prefer to have a book or a spiral bound thing or a binder. You know, they could buy a set of PDFs from your website and print them off themselves, or not, fill them out digitally, save the trees and all. Says the person with 500 books behind her. Anyway, you guys get the point. So you can actually even replace the thought of, ooh, I want to create this tool. Well, the minimum viable version, or the first version, V1 of your tool, of this app that you want to create, could be an actual planner that people could use physically, okay? And that is what I did with my planner that helped people plan out their editorial, plan out their content for their blog and social media. And it had a year's worth of space and some prompts and questions and different things that helped provide people some guidance with their goals, okay? So this might be, you're making a binder that has 10 different sections that are gonna help somebody plan out their wedding, or plan out their vegan wedding, to be more specific if you wanted to, right? Y'all get the point. All right. So 8 reasons to self-publish book, especially in this climate, check. 20 steps of self-publishing, check. 5 profitable approaches, check. Let's talk about some formulas for your book's sales page, and I'll blow these up. And I'm also gonna just really quickly check in on the chat and grab a drink of water. Ooh, an idea for a planner. That's always gonna make me excited because I believe in planners. Okay.
And one thing we could note here, Regina, is that you're like, wait, a sales page for your book? Question mark. That, yeah, like literally don't just let it exist on Amazon.com by itself, right? You also have to be the marketer and the presenter of your own IP, your own book?
Sorry. Now I am
No, that's good. Catch up in the chat.
trying
There's
to
some
spell the
great
word
ideas. You're like, I love
design.
the
I know.
VA. The tool method is powerful. It gets your ideas flowing of, oh, I could create a companion tool for your podcast, for your even your video series show.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, love this. Okay, so book sales page, question mark. Great point, Ali. Yeah, um, why not, right? If you already have a website, or since there are tools that would allow you to create, you know, a landing page or sales page for free, why not, right? And so this to me, even if you are going to sell your book on a search engine like Amazon.com where people could find it themselves, and the real final sales page, if you will, is the Amazon description page. There's the front cover of the book. I can click, look inside. I can flip through some of the pages. I can see the back cover. I can see how many reviews it has, what those reviews are, et cetera, the book description, et cetera. That's going to be really the final sales page if you're selling mainly on an online retailer like Amazon. But you can have a sales page created for your book, like one of the following, to really, number one, you could change the link in your Instagram bio and all other platforms to be to your book sales page. It's not that big of an ask, right? The link is to a $25 product, $18 product, $9 product. Okay, right? And the worst that happens is somebody goes, clicks on it, doesn't buy, but now they know that you're a published author and that you talk about XYZ, interior design, ABC, within the business realm, okay? So book sales pages. Oh, and by the way, BTW, back when we were talking about having this signature line in all of your professional emails, Mike, comma, author of The Ultimate Guide to Blank, well, guess what? Every time you do that, it could be the link to your sales page. Your sales page could look like one of the following 5 pages. Remember, you will get the slides when we send out the replay, so you'll be able to see these more in more depth, more closely. Words, you can print them out if you want. Okay, so option number 1 here, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Option number 1 here on the left, having a book mock-up scene. Okay, so featuring your book in a natural environment. So for Chef Evelyn's book, A Fabulous Year in Food, 52 Delicious Ways to Connect with Family and Friends, which a virtual dinner or virtual picnic or something is somewhere in here, right, Evelyn? Anyway, so with Evelyn's, her book mock-up scene might be a literal picture, actual picture that she takes, where she has this book open on a counter and she's doing some beautiful food stuff, right? Has chopped some stuff, whatever. Who knows? I don't know. I don't speak photography or whatever, design of shots. I can't speak styling. Thank you. So she might have that, and maybe a hand resting on it because somebody's flipping through it and actively using it. For workbooks, y'all, you might have actually your friend with the best handwriting, or whoever is in your quarantine home with the best handwriting, have them actually have written out things inside your workbook, so it looks used, right, lived in, if you will. So she might have an actual scene, or for those of you who are like, you go ask me to do what? Like do styled photography? Like, no, I'm good. You can actually take the file of the cover of your book and use it inside mock-up software that will actually then mock up. It'll make it look like this book was being read on this countertop, or it's sitting on the shelf just like that, or whatever. So top of the sales page could be a book mock-up scene. Then you might have some testimonials like, I loved all the ideas in Evelyn's book, but when you get your copies, pay special attention to number 8, number 17, and number 51 had my family laughing for days, whatever the testimonial is. I don't know, that was a bad one, but you guys get the point. Or you could do proof logos. So you're this person, you wrote your book called Bring in Donuts, and it's a career, helping with career, and then you have logos of the different major career conferences that you've spoken at, companies who've hired you to come speak, universities who've hired you to come speak, et cetera, right? Okay, you guys get the point. Some intro text, you're letting your audience know what the book will cover in a way that makes it about the reader. when you're tired of studying for the LSAT and feeling like you're not getting anywhere, and it's like, oh, I am tired of studying for the LSAT, so I'm in it, right? Anyway, you guys get the point. Then a book mock-up, the purchase links, usually you'll see something like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or ebook, print book, audiobook, however, either the versions linking out to the buy page or the places that it's sold at, or if you're selling this through your own website, it would just be, buy now or whatever. So details, you're offering information about what is the reader going to actually be able to learn or do with your book, okay? Then again, you might have the buy links. You might have an opt-in. This might be, especially before your book is for sale, you might have people just opting in for a sample chapter. I like those. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's the best opt-in ever. Like, hey, give me your email address. In exchange, I will give you a sample chapter from a book that I'm later going to ask you to buy. So it is useful, but kind of, whatever. I would rather see, like, if you have a book that's, we're talking about nonfiction books. If you have a book that, it teaches XYZ concepts, I'd rather see you pull out like a special couple page checklist and send 1 or 2 email lessons that go along with the part you pulled out, so that somebody can do something, take specific action with the opt-in that you gave them. So it could be a checklist, it could be a mini video course. Even though it's going to be a book, you could have 3 little videos, 5 videos recorded. It could be a workshop, etc., etc. Okay, and then we'll have about the author, and then you might have a different testimonial or different proof logos, or at the very least maybe links to your social media. Okay, I won't go through all of these with that same detail. I'm just going to show you some other options for your book sales page. So on this one, you could have a hero image that has you in it, and hero image, let me just say, the big image with you in it. So it's, Chef Evelyn sitting in her kitchen. I don't know why I made you like lounging, but anyway, Chef Evelyn standing in her kitchen chopping up stuff, or I've seen a picture, throwing up popcorn and just looking really excited and happy, or whatever, right? So it's a hero image with you on it. If you don't have that, or if you don't want to do that, it would just be something on brand. If your book is about interior design, it's going to be the nicest home picture that you can get off of unsplash.com or whatever it might be, right? And then it should have some kind of text snippet so that we know what we're here for. Tension grabbing statement, intro book, you guys get the point, right? So these are very self-explanatory once you kind of get into them. Then there are 3 more. So then left here, a hero image, and then the book mock-up on top of it, a story. It's your why, right? So this is probably better for those of you who are like coaches, or you have a really popular, live show or podcast that people tune into, and people they like you because of you. It's not just the content. You might want to do kind of your why and relate it to your author, to your reader, excuse me, so on and so forth. And then you guys can see here, this one is the mock-up with text, so there's no hero image behind it. We got back to putting the testimonials. Y'all get the point. And then the last one, boom, some intro text. So this is not even, we haven't even shown the book yet. Just a short little bit of intro text, a download link, opt-in, or if this is for purchase, for sale right now, purchase it. Then the book mock-up is still within view before you would have to scroll. I think for the most part, anytime you land on a web page, you're going to want some visual element before the person scrolls, especially when you're talking about a sales page or landing page. All right, let me zoom back out. Ali, anything in the chat that should be
just people helping other people? It's pretty awesome in the chat. So good.
I love y'all. Okay, great. So just in general, some elements that you want on your book's sales page: a headline that lets people know if they're in the right place and lets people know if they should keep reading. Imagery, very important, especially again before one would even have to scroll. Substance, meaning you're telling people what is the actual content, the substance of the book. So with this book, Bring in Donuts, 35 Other Sweet Tips to Transform Your Career Today, you're going to learn these different soft skills and blah, blah, blah. They're going to help you do this with your work, blah, 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 blah. Telling the substance. Preview, meaning, when you're buying a car, you can typically test drive that car before you purchase it. When you're buying something online, you can't flip through the book. Now, if you're in a bookstore, when those reopen, yeah, they'll be able to flip through your book and see, okay, oh yeah, I want to know that, or I want to read more of that. Okay, but online, other than the look inside feature on Amazon and different that it shows like, you know, a section of maybe like 10% of your book, or maybe not even, other than that, there's really no way to preview what's inside of it. So you're going to want to do shots of the book, inside the book, you know, especially those of you who are creating like journals, planners, etc. Give people a good idea of what they would be getting into. Fit, this is where you are explaining who this is a good fit for, and maybe even who it's not a good fit for. So you're in this position, you're trying to do this, this, and this, and you don't want any more of this, this, and this to be happening. This is a good fit for you. Proof, it doesn't have to just be social proof. It doesn't have to be, this book has, you know, 100 5-star reviews on Amazon. When you first publish it, it doesn't have 100 5-star reviews. It hasn't been written up in the shooby-doo-wop journal of science and awesomeness necessarily before you get it going, right? So there could be different proof. Logos of companies that you've worked with before and helped implement these practices. Definitely, if you do have good social proof built up, like a lot of followers on social media or something like that, you could kind of include links to that, or subtle ways of saying, you know, doing that. Your proof could be a lot of things. It could be your credentials, right? It could be comma PhD after your name, comma, you know, master of this and that and the other, comma, all these fitness certifications, et cetera, et cetera. Logistics, what happens if they're buying it from your site, is make sure we know, is it a digital copy? Are you going to need my address? What's happening here? How long is it going to take to get to me? And then an introduction to you. These are the key elements that you would want on any book sales page. Okay, so special requirements you can't ignore for the key formats. So this is where some of my slides got deleted, but it's okay. In the final version that you get, you'll get the other ones. Special requirements for print. So this is a book laid out como like this, okay? All right, but well, actually it's probably flipped the correct way for y'all on screen. Okay, on your front cover, you want the book title, you want the subtitle, you most of the times want the author as well. I will say that like with the planner book that I created, my name is not on the front because it's a tool, and in this particular, I had a very small, practically non-existent audience when I created this, and I haven't updated the sales page or the cover or anything in 5 years. So so there was no point of putting by Regina, like it would be like who can, who cares? So but most of the time you'll want to put your author name. The other book I created that a little more, you might want to know who's talking to you, it has my name on the front. I think probably all the other ones do. So that's the front cover. You'll also, there's this checklist that you'll see in a second. There are other stuff you might want to do on the front cover, but bare minimum, we want to see the title, if you have a subtitle, and your author. On the spine, so that it's visible when somebody bookshelves you in this color-coded system that is not Dewey Decimal at all, you want the spine, and in bookstores, right, you would want the spine to still look good, look on brand, blah, 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 be a fun color so that you can be featured in a good place on Regina's bookshelf. So I need some more yellow, you guys. This is one of my favorite, just, hey, throwing that out there. Anyway, you're gonna have the title of your book down the spine, your name, the author name, and then typically the publishing house. Now, if you are doing your own publishing, and you have therefore created the publishing house called Super Duper Publishing, and you only really plan to publish your own books, you might not want to include the publishing house on the spine necessarily. So anyway, title, author, publishing house is typically how it goes. And it typically goes that direction, such that, I don't know if my camera flips it for what y'all are seeing, but it's like taking the text that would read left to right and flipping it so that it reads down. There's literally only one out of the hundreds of books behind me, there's only one book that was designed the other way around. So anyway, so there, it's mostly like that. Then smaller than I'm representing here, on the back cover, when you're looking at it, the top left, you're going to have the category of the book. So you might be able to see it, you might not, it doesn't matter. This one says business career in the top left. This is actually so that people in bookstores know where to put your book within their bookstore. So looking for another example here.
So that they're not guessing and accidentally putting it in totally the wrong, in the food section when it's actually business career.
Exactly, yeah. Because you might have, yeah, this one says bring in donuts, right? Like you said, or anyway, you get it. This one says language slash Spanish on this one, et cetera, et cetera. So they have different categories that you can look up the best one to put so that, again, bookstore employees are not confused. Then you're going to have your ISBN, but you're going to have it as a barcode so that it can easily be scanned inside of a bookstore. Or inside of a fulfillment center, a large online fulfillment center, right? We want the barcode to be scannable. So you'll get an ISBN, which is just a number, you know, like 13 digits or whatever it is. And so then you'll have to have this company generate an image, a barcode out of that ISBN for you. Anyway, then you'll typically see the price of the book listed right above the barcode, or listed in the top right corner of the back cover. If you're, again, if you're looking at the back cover, the top right corner, you'll optionally see the price there sometimes. Okay, this is industry standard for print books, all right? Some other things to keep in mind for print books. You'll get this slide later. I know there's a lot on it, so I'm just gonna read the important parts. Compelling title that's going to stand out on virtual bookshelves. This thing is not on the slide, and I should probably put it there. You want, in my opinion, especially if it's going to be selling heavily on Amazon.com or whatever, you want to give your book cover a slight color. So instead of doing a white cover, I would give it just you could even make it a little, just a few smidgens off from white. This one happens to be pink. And that is because if you do not, when somebody's scrolling through the listings in Amazon.com, your completely white cover is going to blend in with their white background. And so it's going to just look like weird little bits of text and whatever your cover design is, right? So just paying attention to whatever color the search engine results page on Amazon is, and maybe not wanting to design your book in that exact color, because then it blends in this weird way where people can't actually see that it's the start of a book. Anyway, so you want the title to stand out on virtual bookshelves. That's the other thing. Some people will create, and this is, I mean, it's fine either way. You can do this, you don't have to. Some people will create a pretty big title, and then their subtitle will be really small. And by the time this gets, you know, blown down, blown up, blown down, I don't, zoomed down, whatever, you guys, smallened down to like a little bitty preview, people can't read some of this stuff. So if it's important for you, like your subtitle is important for people to be able to read, even if they're just scrolling through the results page, which has 10 options on it or however many options on it, then just make sure it's designed in that size. If you're creating a second edition, you want to put second edition on there so that people don't accidentally buy the same book, or buy a book thinking it's the whatever. And also it's just required, and you will actually assign a new ISBN to a proper second edition. There are some little edits that you can make, right? You're good, but when you have changed the book substantially, you're gonna create a different edition. Okay, anyway, y'all can read this when you get it. And then in that, you'll also, there will be some requirements for your audiobook and for your digital books. Some key things to note, even though the slides got deleted, it's fine. Some key things to note with eBooks. You're gonna wanna design it in such a way where your chapters are clickable. They're linked to the actual, so there's a special way you can do this in your file. It's linked to the actual chapter. So the person who's reading it on their Kindle reader or whatever it might be, is able to just click on a chapter, go to the place that they want to go. If you want your book to be ebook and audiobook, and you want the syncing feature that these Kindle devices and maybe other devices have, where you can be reading on your device and you're getting tired, or you're like, oh, I need to run an errand, you can switch it to where it starts narrating it to you. So if you want the two to sync, then you need to make sure that the audio file that you either record yourself, or files that you record yourself, or that you have recorded for you, are they match the ebook, or else that syncing process is not going to be able to happen because it's different words. Wait, I don't know where to sync it, whatever it might be. Okay, so the other thing is there's digital files that you can publish through Amazon, and you could have your book as a Kindle, in the Kindle edition, right, where people can buy it and then have it on their phone, on the Kindle app, their iPad, their Kindle reader, even the browser, or not browser, but the downloaded for your desktop. But you could also sell an ebook just as a PDF from your website, right? Or from a third-party tool like Gumroad, Teachable, the Podia. You could sell your PDF book, right? So when I'm talking about ebooks that are going to land on Kindle, that's when you need to do the things like linking the chapters. However, those same features are really helpful in a PDF. In a PDF, you can link chapters. In a PDF, you can put actual links out to a video or to something else on the web. Okay. With audiobooks, it depends on where you're doing it and how you're doing it. But you might use a tool like ACX to get your book published onto Amazon as an audiobook or Audible. When you are creating it, you'll see their requirements, but one pretty common requirement for most of the platforms is that each chapter is its own file. So things like that. So it's not like, for most of them, it's not like you're providing them this one X number of hour file. It would be individual little files. And I would also say that you can choose to narrate the book yourself, or you can hire talent / a producer to narrate it for you. And that would be something that you would use a tool like ACX for. You can actually find a narrator, a producer, who will record it for you, edit it, etc. And then you can choose to pay them per project or do some type of revenue share with them. Okay, distribution options. So you don't necessarily have to carry inventory, even if you want to offer a print book. You don't have to deal with shipping and handling, even if you want to offer a physical book. All right, so here are the 7 ways your books, period. Let's finish that sentence. Can reach customers. And y'all just pretend like it's finished on all the other slides, because I'm sure it's not. Anyway, here are the 7 ways your books can reach readers, okay? Let me explain how this is 7. I'm going to break it down to the different 7, but in general, we have you, and then we have your customer, your reader, okay? And there are a few ways that you can get it done. You can ship a print book directly to your customer. You can sell a digital PDF on your website or wherever directly to your customer. So that's way number. Well, anyway, I'll get into it in a second. Then there are online retailers, which you're probably familiar with, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. There are chain bookstores, such as Barnes & Noble. Amazon even has actual physical bookstores in different cities now. And then we have indie bookstores. If you live in certain towns across the world, I'm imagining Portland to be like this. I don't think I've been there, no, but I'm imagining Portland to be one of those cities that has like a lot of indie bookstores. I know in Austin there are bookstores that it's just like a feminist bookstore, and so anything that they choose, they feel that it somehow relates to either empowering women, blah blah blah, whatever, right? Cool, right? So you have those indie bookstores, you have very niche bookstores, or you have, pretty large independent bookstores in different cities. Also keep in mind too, y'all, that your books may actually sell at non-bookstores. So you might have a gardening book that you actually sell at a gardening store. You might have a book about music that you sell at a record store. You might have a book about jewelry or jewelry design that you sell at like an independent little boutique, et cetera, right? So it doesn't have to just be this. So it's not the only 7 ways. This is just 7 ways, and probably the most common ways. Allie, anything in the chat to respond to?
No, just helpful links. We're good.
Okay. All right. So way number 1, it's just going to bother me. I'm going to have to like copy and paste it.
Well, we'll have one question for Lucianne we can get to at the end, or answer in the follow-up for some EU things that may not be available.
Okay, yeah, may have to follow up depending on that. I'll look. So way number one is that you provide your book to the online retailers, which is typically you're providing a book file. I'll explain in a second. And then the online retailers, the customer can buy it from there. Couple ways you can get this done. You can work with a company like KDP, which is working with Amazon.com. When you work with KDP, you are uploading your book file, whether it is print or it's an ebook or whatever. So you're uploading your book file. And if you have made it available in print, what they will do is as soon as they get an order from your customer or from many customers, they'll print out what they need and then ship it to the customer. With online retailers such as Amazon, again, you could have uploaded an ebook file. Your customer is searching for it or you've linked to it, whatever it might be. They see it, they buy it, they immediately hopefully download it to their Kindle and love it and fall in love with it. So whether it's an ebook, print book, whatever, audiobook, you can provide a file to your online retailer who then provides it to the customer after the customer has turned over money. With this, you're typically making anywhere from 40 to 70%. The profit margin is usually anywhere from 40 to 70% with this. And that will depend heavily on whether it is print or digital. So you might be making, they can fall outside of that range as well, y'all. I'm just saying that's those where the majority of the deals have lid. And then there are outliers. But anyway, so 40 to 70%. And if it's a print book, it's going to be more on the 40, 50% angle if you're having an online retailer or print on demand company print it for you. If it's digital, it can be, on the higher, right, like 70%. Now, the other thing is, in order to get your book to online retailers, if you do have a print book, you can actually get this book printed by someone else other than, let's say you price it out on Amazon and you're like, I'm only going to be making, $7 per book, which sounds wonderful to me. But anyway, I'm only going to be making $7 each time a book sells, and I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Or, hey, I want to print my book in color, and I just don't like the profit margins on color books on Amazon. And so you can actually have a different company print it out, and they can either ship them to you, and you can ship them to Amazon, or you can even have this company ship your books directly to the online retailers such as Amazon to hold in stock, which you're going to typically pay a fee for their holding your inventory, and then they'll ship them out as they come, which means as the inventory is getting low, they'll place another order, they'll let you know, and therefore you're shipping more books to them. You get the point. All right, so that's how online retailers work. Way number two, we talked about it goes directly from you to your customer. Either you're packaging and shipping things off. I have definitely created print items before that shipped off like that, me hand doing whatever, or hired somebody. Let's be honest, after a while I was like, this is not fun. Anyway, or you can just deliver a digital file. That's way number two. Way number three, and again, it's going to bother me, so I'm going to do it each time. Way number three is you can take your book. Now this would be you operating as the publisher, having a publishing house to do the next few things that I'm going to say. Actually all the rest of them. You're going to want an official entity. I am not saying it's not possible to get it done without one. Let me think. I'm sure there's some instance in where you could just be, hey, I'm Allie and I want to do this. But in general, you're going to need an official entity to do all the rest of what I'm going to say, literally all the rest of these, which is back to one of those steps in the 20 steps, why I said establish a publishing house, take it legit. All right, so you as now the publishing house, Super Duper Publishing LLC, better name, please do a better name. You have some options. You can actually get your books to a wholesaler or distributor who then can do a few things for you. All right, what are wholesalers? What are distributors? All right, so with your wholesalers, these are companies that will typically carry books. They'll have an inventory of books that they feel are likely to be in demand so that they can quickly, immediately, because they already have them in their storage, fulfill need at chain bookstores and indie bookstores, okay? So wholesalers have a bunch of books. They have 8,700 of this book and ready to go. And then when Barnes and Noble's like, hey, put in an order, we need 1,000 more of these here, we need 5,000 of them here, whatever it is, right? They're ready to go with them. Okay, so that's what wholesalers do. Okay, and then obviously, sorry, just explaining the rest of these chain bookstores. Again, oh, I think I told you all these, right? Barnes and Noble, things like that, indie bookstores. Okay, so your wholesaler, way number 3, can actually, you can go from your publishing house to a wholesaler who can then supply your books. Because what happens is they are actually sending off a shipment of tons of different books. It's not like they generally send this wholesaler shipping just, 50 of these over to Barnes and Noble. That's not how it happens. It's this pack of multiple different types of books at different quantities. So you can work with a wholesaler as a publisher, and you can get your books included in these little packs, if you will, that go over to chain bookstores. In the same way, you can get your wholesalers to do that same thing for independent bookstores. Okay, so that's way number 4. Number 3 was you as the publishing house to a wholesaler to a chain bookstore to your customer. Way number 4 is you as the publishing house to a wholesaler to an indie bookstore to your customer. Okay, and then hold on, let me get back here and change this again. All right, so now we're talking about distributors. Distributors are companies that, kind of in the same way, they have different publishing houses that are basically kind of like their clients, and they are marketing, and typically they're marketing and supplying the books to the chain bookstore or to the independent bookstore. So the distributor, if you can get your book with a distributor, your distributor is the one that's like, hey, Barnes and Noble, you should really have us send you a test batch of 1,000 of these books that Darcy wrote, because they're really awesome and they would help you fill out your career section, which we notice is a little light. So do you want to order 1,000? So they're does that make sense, right? The distributor, whereas the wholesaler just has a bunch of books that they were able to get at a good price and they think they can sell them, they think they can fill F-I-L-L demand from chain bookstores and indie bookstores who are like, oh my gosh, we need another 1,000 copies of so-and-so's new book, or whatever it might be, or books that are not like super popular, but whatever. Anyway, with distributors, they're more like, what publishing houses do we want to take on as clients? Let's take on these bajillion publishing houses, and now we're going to actually market their stuff, right? The more bookstores that we can have taking us up on our inventory, the better. The better for us, the better for our clients. Okay, so that's what a distributor does. Now, and this exists because with chain bookstores like Barnes and Noble, they are not wanting to work with 12 bajillion different publishers, because yes, there are these like big 5 or whatever publishing houses, but in general, with many different imprints anyway, but there are bajillions, that's a real technical number, it's not, independent publishers, or just smaller than the major ones. And so but Barnes & Noble doesn't want to have somebody, or it would be a large team of people working with 12 billion different publishers. So instead, Barnes & Noble works with distributor who has already done the work of working with their selection from the 12 million different publishers. Does that make sense? And then obviously way number 6 is, instead of the book going, your publishing house getting your books with a distributor and it going to a chain bookstore or chain bookstores, you can still get your books with a distributor and have them go directly to independent bookstores, okay? And then lastly, actually, many independent bookstores will allow independent publishers, such as you, to contact them directly. They'll usually have some instructions on their website, or you can easily find some information on it by talking to someone who works there, calling in, whatever. They'll allow you as the publisher, publishing house, not, hi, I'm Allie, I'm Regina, I have a book, let's do some work, let's do it, do it. Again, I'm not saying it has not happened, it definitely has, but they typically will even request that they're only dealing with publishers. And some independent bookstores will work with a publisher who only has one title. So you wrote your first book, this is the only book you have, you created Super Duper Publishing LLC, this is the only thing that Super Duper Publishing LLC has to offer, and indie bookstores will work with you. Other indie bookstores go, hey, we work with you, Super Duper Publishing LLC, but only company publishing houses that have at least 5 titles that they can give us, or 4 titles, or whatever their number is. Okay. Hopefully I am making some level of sense. Nod your head yes or no. All right. So I get really excited about that because a lot of people don't realize that you can go directly to indie bookstores as a publishing house and get your books in their bookstores and have that moment where you're in XYZ bookstore and you're taking a picture of you next to your book on the shelf. Most people don't realize that there can be a middleman to making that happen, but there doesn't have to be. And a lot of people, again, which, you know, if you have not been self-publishing for a long time, why would you have, you know all this or do all this? A lot of people don't realize that there are other ways too to get your books with an indie bookstore or a chain bookstore or even the online retailer. Okay, so I'm gonna skip forward and talk about tools really quickly and then come back to the sales funnel, which was also deleted, which was annoying, but don't worry about it, it'll be in the final version. But anyway, so tools, for mockups and graphics like this one where you see the book on the iPad and somebody's writing notes and has this cute cup of tea, coffee, whatever going on. For things like that, you can check out creativemarket.com. And the other things that you see here. For designing and laying out your book, the actual interior pages, you can look at Adobe InDesign. You can look at Apple Pages. There are some more, I mean, we teach, there's a more full self-publishing class that needs to happen again in the future. But the same way there are special requirements for the cover of a print book, there are special requirements for the inside of the print book too. So you're going to want to lay it out with, you know, honoring certain of those requirements, like, is it the name of the book on the top left and then the name of the chapter they're currently in on the top right page? How does that work? Things like knowing that for a print book, on any page that's going to be left-hand facing, you're going to need, or I guess I should do it opposite for the camera, I don't know. Anyway, any page that's going to be left-hand facing, you're going to need the page number probably in the bottom left corner. But if it's a right-hand facing page, you would want the page number in the bottom right corner, or I mean, you could design it differently, but just different things like that. Because if you have the page number on the same place in each page, it actually will look weird on the right facing pages or so on. So there's a lot of other stuff, but anyway, for outline, laying out the book, you might use InDesign or Pages. People can use Word. What is that new one that Affinity Publisher? It's not new. I don't know why I said that. Well, it's a new part of their suite of tools. Anyway, moving on. There are other tools. For the cover design, you could actually hire somebody to get it done. You could go with a company that has like some kind of, if you believe in these companies and want to work with them, you could go with a company that has these kind of like, they create these little competitions like 99 designs. You'll have these companies that basically let you submit a project. I need a book cover for a book called this, and then multiple designers can actually submit and go, here's what I would do, here's what I would do, and then you pick. You pay a certain fee for this. Also companies that just hire or just have, it's like a marketplace for designers. You could look into those, which I won't mention, but you could easily find them. You can also do your own cover design with using a tool like, you could even do that in InDesign as well. Illustrator, I'm not gonna lie, and true Adobe fans will get mad at me for this quite possibly. I design my physical book covers in Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop. Okay. were there any other tools that I wanted to mention? Oh yeah, and then just the, like, as far as having another company either do the print on demand or having another company, you know, to help you find talent to record the audio version of your book, you're going to want to check out tools such as KDP, the Kindle Direct Publishing, ACX, Audio Creation Exchange, I think is what it stands for. And then let me actually write these down too. So this is not just for mockups and graphics now. You can also check out companies like Ingram Spark, and Lulu.com and Blurb, and different companies like that as far as actually getting your book printed. And then obviously there's the KDP, ACX, etc. for audio. Okay, cool. Now, one of the slides that got deleted is talking about an example book sales funnel that you can steal. And so what we'll do is cover this real quick. And also, I just want to check in on the chat, or really say to everyone that this is a good time to ask any of your remaining questions so that we can.
That was a great question a bit earlier, like from Candace. Do you create a separate LLC or Inc. for your publishing biz, or do you set up a DBA under an existing LLC?
Great question. You could do that either way. It would depend. And really, you would probably fully want an attorney to answer this question for you. If you plan to publish other people's books, or if you go, hey, yeah, I love business, but I also love yoga and I also love this, and so I'm going to want to publish books that are different genres, and therefore it shouldn't all be under my one main business that's only about yoga, then you would probably want a separate entity. If you want to limit your liability and not have one business's income, outcome, fate, should you be sued or something like that, connected to another ones per se, you would probably want a separate entity. I'm not an attorney, so you would want to ask if your case is very specific. And then definitely if you want to publish other people's books, like if you're like, man, I love publishing so much, I might actually want to publish some friends and whatever. Yeah, right, maybe a separate entity. With all the time you've had your books printed with KDP, have you had any problems? That is a good question. I'm not gonna lie, even for a designer such as myself, well, and I'm not even some high-level designer, I think maybe Meg you are, but anyway, I will say I did have like a few problems getting the file correct for the print. Like, oh, that's right, I need to make it 0.7 more, whatever. There was one book that I had to like do it multiple times. So there was that. But as far as like reporting, I don't like the KDP reporting versus Create Space reporting, but whatever. As far as reporting is concerned, getting my payment on time, I have not in 5, oh no, because I published the first one in 2013. I forgot the other book for a second. I have not in 7 years had a like a real problem. But I mean, it's possible too that other people were doing things or experiencing things I haven't. Things I love about them: you can order an author copy for yourself at a very minimal price. So typically any print book that I've created, I can get an author copy that's $2 or $3. So no matter how many I order, if I order 100 of them, it's 3 times 100. If I order, one, it's 3 times 1. And then a small shipping fee, like truly small shipping fee. And so that means that you could order 100 copies to take with you to an in-person workshop that you're doing, if that might happen again. And that's actually what I used to do. I would order $2.50 copies of my book from them and get them shipped to me, and then I would have them on hand to sell when I taught class in person, and I would sell them for $25. I would sell them for the list price. This was a different book than the planner. No problem with dispatching to customers. Okay, actually, I'm so glad you were actually specific about that too, Meg, or you asked another question there, because I have had one time that I can remember that somebody sent me an email and said that they think that maybe Amazon was having a bad day or something, because the book maybe arrived with like the cover was bent and the pages looked weird to them or something like that. I have ordered some of my own copies. Like I paid full price just to see what the process was, and I haven't had that. And then I've had many customers who shared it on social media and didn't explain that or didn't express that. So I'm hoping that was an off day. And then I noticed that one of the reviews on the product on Amazon was some person commenting like, it arrived with a bent cover or whatever it was, and they're like 1 star, and it's like, oh, that sucks. Like you're like, wait, no, like content wasn't 1 star. Can you please specify, sir? It was not the content. You're just saying the.
My favorite review ever, I screenshotted once, true review, said, I ordered this book by mistake, 1 star. It's like, what? Okay, we digress, however.
Oh my gosh, it's like, why did you take time out of your life to, but y'all, luckily, you're going to have a lot of great reviews too. So even if you have, and I mean, I've had some people who legitimately were like, yo, you know, this, because it's a planner, so it has some pages that repeat. Yo, this book had some repeating pages. That's crazy. I would never spend money with this author again. And I'm like, all right, cool. And but then, you know, it has a lot of good reviews and stuff as well. So it's all good. But y'all, I will say, everyone here today, if you're considering putting out a book under your own name, then you are signing up for not everyone being your biggest fan. And you've probably already done that by launching a blog, launching a podcast, launching, you know, live videos, pre-recorded videos. We're signing up for trolls on YouTube. We're signing up for people who have legitimate problems with our work. They didn't like the outlay, the layout of the book or the design. They didn't like the content. You know, they don't like us. They don't like red hair. They don't like curly hair, whatever. It's
a lesson for us in personal development and being extra kind with our own words and reviews going forward. Little pandemic
yes.
experiment for, there's no school right now. I had a child start a YouTube video yesterday. It already had its first thumbs down. And it literally says, this is a video by kids for kids. I'm like, who does that? So a thick skin, that's our purpose, right? If we're going to put it out there, there's somebody out there who's not going to like it, and that's okay.
I guess that's a good lesson even for the sweet child in question. Oh my gosh. That's terrible though. I'm sorry. All right. I know. All right, y'all. So example book funnel that will work well for a nonfiction book that is teaching concept, helping people with something. So again, this got deleted, but we're going to kind of sort of make a version of it right now as we talk through it. Does anyone want to be used as an example? I don't know why it came out with that weird accent. Anyone in the health and wellness space? I feel kind of health and wellnessy. Or not. Tell us what type of book you are publishing and what it's going to help people with. And I mean, you don't have to be on the recording as far as coming off mute, but I will just use your name and what you're saying. So understand that that's going to be in the recording. If you are, so just tell us what the book is and what it helps people with. Okay, so we have Meg is doing a planner for oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the planner for creatives based on specific writing prompts based on the podcast would be good. Julie, what is yours about?
I should have made more tea before this. My poor empty cup. So, okay, while y'all are doing that, actually, yeah, while you're typing that in the chat, let me just tell you all about this. So, many of you know that that Allie and I have been talking about, well, for a long time, we've been talking about the value of getting your idea out there as a online workshop or boot camp. We have put together a program that starts in 2 days. I'm so excited, but you can get replays if you can't make it live. That's going to help you create your online workshop or boot camp and also help you sell it with sensitive webinars, with ads, and then using Instagram for free, for example, to help you sell it, okay? And so just explaining this really quickly, launch your online boot camp this weekend. This is one of the last days that you're actually able to join us to join the program because it starts in 2 days. So launch your online boot camp this weekend and grow your audience while you're at it. It is a tutorial dashboard that's going to cover the 15 steps of launching and selling an online bootcamp or workshop, which for those of you who already have a book, maybe you want to teach the workshop version of it and make some money. If you have a book idea, you might want to teach a workshop or bootcamp version of it so that you get some of the content created, get some of the content out there as a bootcamp, and you're getting paid while you build that larger book. So you'll have the 15-step dashboard of all the steps on like launching and selling a bootcamp. Then you're going to have 7 days of live group classes. So they're going to be smaller groups where you can ask your questions live, et cetera, for 7 days straight, April 1st through 7th. And these are going to be just designed to help you explain, promote, sell, close customers on your bootcamp. And we're addressing it, how to do this in a sensitive way for the times that we're currently in. You also get lifetime access to the replays, so whether you're able to make it live or not, you'll be able to refer to the replays and the slides. And then you'll have this private community with us and co-working opportunities during that live week, and even for a while beyond the live week, okay? So why do it as a boot camp? You're gonna get the idea out of your head fast, faster than probably it does take to write a book for most people. And you're getting your idea to market quickly. These times have presented challenges for everyone I know, everyone I can think of. And you want an answer, you want to help them improve their life next week or in 2 weeks, not something that's going to take you 6 months to get ready, because that may still be helpful in 6 months, but it might not be as helpful or as appropriate right now when there's a higher demand for helpful content, there's a higher demand for learning new skills, there's a higher demand for getting your home in better shape, there's a higher demand for getting your finances in better shape right now. So anyway, you're going to get valuable sales experience, learning how to sell an online bootcamp. If you can sell, let's say you decide to price your bootcamp at $100, at $250, depending whatever it is. If you're learning how to sell that, it's going to hopefully be easier to sell books and anything in the future. And you're going to get paying customers. So you're, if you sell this thing right, you have paying customers, you validated your idea, you know your concept works. Okay. Some other reasons, y'all can check these out in a second. 15 steps, these will be the lessons in your dashboard come April 9th. The 15 steps of launching your online bootcamp, and then the live classes April 1st through 7th. And definitely you'll get the copy of the slides. Just these 15 steps alone are super helpful and will help guide you through the process. Come live if you want to get your specific questions answered. You want to be part of smaller private breakout rooms where you can get work done, you can get feedback directly from peers, and you'll be able to download the slide deck and again, keep the lifetime access to the actual workshop itself. 2 p.m. Eastern every single day, April 1st through 7th. We're going to help you nail your messaging, and this means explain why people should buy your bootcamp, why they would want to buy your bootcamp. And you're going to also create a really valuable free sample from your bootcamp.
And can I add one thing about the messaging? Because it's so important. It's not just why somebody should buy it. It's why they should buy it now. Why they should not buy it next year, but why this transformation is important now. It's an investment in themselves as well. And hopefully what you are offering and helping people with is genuine and meaningful and can help people in the long run.
Agreed. And I see an example in the chat that I'm going to want to use for the funnel in a second when we go back there. Anyway, and create a free sample. Perfect, yes. The second session on Thursday is how to build and launch your bootcamp using free tools, and we'll also share inexpensive tools, but you can actually do this for free. Now you are going to probably pay a fee whenever you receive money, right? Like there will be a percentage and like 30 cents per transaction or whatever, depending on how you take payment. But as far as actually building it out, promoting it, hosting it, you can actually do it for free. There's some really cool, I can't wait to do that one. Anyway, then on Friday, it's Sell Your Bootcamp with Sensitive Webinars. It's an expanded version of a class that Ali and I taught recently, which you might have been on, and it was amazing. And we're going to give you some more ideas for how you would lay out your sensitive webinar, what to do in what order, and how to pitch. And we'll specifically be talking about how to pitch a product like your boot camp, right? But you could use what you learned in the sense of webinar session to pitch your book, to pitch a coaching service, to pitch your consulting business, etc. Saturday, create the collateral. So these are all the visual elements that you need to promote your bootcamp. We're going to take you through how to create some of those. On Sunday, sell your bootcamp with a powerful email sequence. So you're going to actually see a formula and a layout for how we would create an email sequence to sell your bootcamp, and you'll be able to get some practice in there, get some really good ideas for emails. I think you'll super love that session, whether you are there live or need to watch the replay, you'll love it. On Monday, we're going to go over our methods that actually, truly, literally, actually work. I'm sure some of you have seen our little mini case study on, we had used these to build in the past, but we also used them more recently to start building from scratch. Because it's like, does this still work? You know what? We'll test it because we have this idea for this brand and this thing we want to do. We'll test it. And yes, it still works. So using Instagram for free to build your audience and get people to your webinar. And then finally on Tuesday, using Facebook and Instagram ads to get people to your webinar. And so Allie is going to type in the chat, but it's byregina.com/bootcamp2, which is just a pretty link, if you will, it's a cheat link to take you to the proper checkout page. 15-step course dashboard to help you plan, launch, and sell your online workshop/bootcamp. This is a great place to start. Get it done now. Allie and I are 1,000,000% stand behind what we'll be teaching in this class, and we have had students get really great results from it, making $1,000+ their first time they did a bootcamp. I'm not even going to use the most ridiculous examples because, to be honest, making $1,000 from a weekend, it sounds amazing right now, right? Like it's possible to make more. Just sticking with some of those really cool examples of, this is my first time doing a boot camp, I made a few $100s. That feels amazing. Listen, when I sold my first ebook online, it was $3. A stranger on the internet found my ebook and paid me $3. You could not tell me anything. I was the happiest person in the world. I still remember it so fondly. Enjoy, whatever, you guys get the point.
I think I remember my first boot camp. I gave it at it was an Instagram boot camp like 3 years ago. I think I only had 4 or 5 people join, but it was almost $1,000. And what it did is you're stuck. If you sell one spot or at least 2 spots, you're like, I'm in it. I'm going to finish this, see it to the end, and get it out the door. And then it helps you make that. I made an ebook out of that, etc. The rest is history. But
yeah. Sorry, I was catching up with the chat, but yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And I think you're right. It's just like, all right, well, I have 4 customers and I don't want to just like refund them and go, just kidding, I don't feel like doing it. Like, you're gonna get it done. So anyway, and honestly, 4 customers, come on, y'all. That sounds good to me right now, to be honest. And I'm sure a lot of you here have done products with more than 4 customers, but I mean, that's lovely. That is like a small dinner table full of people who handed you money to be there and sit with you and learn from you. That still excites the heck out of me. I'll move on. 7 days, maybe it's just because I, haven't seen other humans for the last 2 weeks. But anyway, 7 days of live classes to ask questions, get feedback, get your bootcamp launched, and they are the live classes that we showed you here on these 2 sites. And then the private community of supportive peers with similar goals and drive. What we would normally charge for this, we are not charging during these times. You can go to that link that Allie shared in the chat, and we'll share again to claim the special price. Okay, going back to the funnel, and I think I saw an example. I think Julie, my first online cooking class was 47 and I sold 10 of them. This was before there was Instagram and I was so excited. This is Chef Evelyn. I'm so excited to be a part of this. We are so excited that you are a part of this. All right, hold on. I saw an example from the lovely Julie up here, a yearly planner for interior designers that will help them with goal planning, business planning, social media content planning, project organization, self-care, etc. Ooh, I love that. I super love that.
It's almost like the small business manual just for interior designers, like a year's worth of content.
And then I like that you're including some of the human elements, which I know are important to you, Julie, right? Like the self-care, not just teaching people business, 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 but like you're gonna have to take care of yourself in order to even have this business, grow this business, and be the person you want to be showing up as every day. From personal experience, I can speak to building a business, it growing in such a way that it kind of got away from me, so to speak, and now I'm running behind it. Like if you've ever tried to walk a really big dog and you just weren't expecting it to be like pulling, you're like, okay, wait, who's in charge here? You're like, okay, clearly the dog, until you learn how to train the dog or whatever. But anyway, I've had that experience, and then I'm like, ew, I do not like the person that I'm showing up as every day. I need to change that. Hence, move to Mexico, chill out for a couple years, do some, for me, right? Do some yoga, just chill out, but fix yourself, Regina. But anyway, so that was a personal side note, but I love, Julie, that you're including that self-care pieces and all that. Okay, so what we have, and do you know about the price point that you wanted to charge for it? It can be, can I be you when I can I be you when I grow up? Stop, Julie. Do you, oh my gosh, thank you, Dr. Barbara. Community is so important, and the other part is sweet, but I don't want to like read that in the recording. I'm too embarrassed. I love it. Okay, wait. Okay, so I'm gonna just like make up a price, Julie. But let's say, hold on, I'm going on yearly plan. Is it going to be digital? Okay, I have so many questions, so it could be so many things. But let's just go with, Julie has decided to make a digital planner that has different sections that the interior designers can print out and put in their own binder, which she has either designed the binder itself or has some pretty cover that you can put into your own binder. And let's just say interior designers are visual people. So Julie's probably going to want to have the digital file be very nice looking, have color, et cetera, but not be too overdone. Anyway, you get the point. So in this instance, I'm saying it's a digital file that they can print out. For a lot of you, you may want your planner to be something that is sold as one thing on Amazon.com, such that people will have to buy a new version of it every single year if they really like it. So even if you leave it undated so that they can start in April or any time throughout the year, you may do it to where you don't provide a digital copy that they can just keep reprinting because you want them to buy a new copy. That might be a thing. Or if you do provide a digital copy, you might have it be dated such that they can't just use it again in 2021. That's totally up to you. You could also do the option where they buy it once and they're able to use it every single year, and that's part of the selling point. You're like, you only have to buy this once, and this can be your planning hub for the next forever and ever and ever. Hardcover ring bound, so they can add and pull out pages. I'm with you on that. Line with others I've researched, so 50 to 70ish. That's so funny. Okay, this was the exact price point I was going to range in. I do want to offer it as a digital option too. Okay, cool. Sorry, just going back up here. So then let's just think for ease of discussion, we have a $70 binder of sorts that has all these different sections. Okay, so Julie wants a, let's say, sales funnel that helps to sell this. So let me move that up here, and then look at this. So the first thing we want to do is pull out this is the first thing we will create, but this won't actually go first. So hold on one second. So the first thing we're going to do is pull out a valuable sample that we can create out of the materials, and we're going to have that available on a landing page for people to sign up for. But give me a second, because this is the first thing that we might work on, but the reality is we need the right people. I guess I'm doing caps here. The right people finding out about this thing. I'm just going to say finding you for ease of whatever. So we need the right people finding you. So so for example, in the classes that Allie and I are teaching, part of what we mean by that is maybe you're using Instagram and Facebook ads to get people to your landing page for your sample. Maybe you're using Instagram for free. Maybe you're using LinkedIn for free. But so that's what we mean by people. We're not going to keep it vague. We would get specific, of like, okay, well, you're an interior designer. What Facebook groups are you a part of? Okay, could you be a part of a Facebook group that, so for example, and this actually I think applies to you, Julie, right? Could you be a part of a Facebook group that interior designers go to for something else other than like business advice? So it might be where they go to figure out how to order bulk samples or how to order XYZ type of, I don't know, whatever it is you wonderful people order. Could it be one where it's like a major software company that all or a lot of interior designers use to organize their client flow or to mock up things for, you know what I mean? So it's a Facebook group that interior designers are in for reasons other than because I want to learn how to organize my business and do everything that's in your thing, right? So what Facebook groups are you part of? Are there podcasts in your industry? There would be so many questions that we would ask to arrive at the right way to find the right people. Because it's not just people, it's not just interior designers, it's interior designers who are willing and wanting to invest in a system that's going to help them. So anyway, we want these people to be landing on this valuable sample, or be landing on this landing page that has a valuable sample. And so looking at what you said, oh man, did I lose it already? Oh man. Oh yeah. So looking at what you said that, okay, a yearly, so it's going to help them with goal planning, business planning. So social media content. Oh gosh, there's so many options in here. Okay. I would do, and Allie, you can come in at any time. I would do probably a short training. Yeah. I would do a short video training, specifically that has some follow-up emails that helps interior designers think of all their social media content for a month. And it shows some kind of process that you've used to kind of save time and batch create content that actually is getting good engagement. So that might be like a short training that I would do. And when I say short, it's really dependent upon your audience, and also it's dependent upon these times. What was short before the current state that we're in is now super short. So you could actually go longer, and people may have more of an attention span, or may feel that they have more time to devote to something. It depends on your particular audience. There are certain people, healthcare workers, for example, and different people who are way more overloaded and busy. So if you're trying to market to them right now, you're thinking of different ways, right? So anyway, so with this, I might do a short training for my audience. That is, here is a process for getting all your social media content done. And it might even be something kind of complementary that doesn't even teach any of the stuff that is covered in your planner. It might literally be, here are, 10 amazing tools, 10's a lot, 5 tools and resources that you can be using as an interior designer to get great images for your social media content. So, you might show them Unsplash and how to get great interior design images. You might show them this, that, the other, and maybe you even actually show them a little bit of graphic design or graphic editing in Canva. It's a complementary task that they're going to need to fill, but it doesn't give away the strategies inside your thing. Either way, another really great combination for you, Julie, is something that does give away a little bit of the strategy that they're going to see. Like, hey, here's how I create a month's worth of content at a time, and it is paired with, and here's where I find great images, because I don't have enough images of my own work, or well, you do, Julie, but the person you're doing this thing, they might not have enough images of their own interior design work, so they need to supplement their Instagram or their blog post or whatever with other work. How do they do that? And how do you do that, how's it called, ethically, right? As an interior, anyway, you get the point. So it might be a combination of both. But anyway, let's go with the idea that it is how to plan a month's worth of content. Or you might be more specific, how interior designers can be using Facebook Live to grow their business, something like this, right? And so you're doing that, and then you also have some kind of complimentary lesson where you're like, you're going to learn where I get the best photos from, how I edit them, blank. Okay, so this is a short training. For your industry, it might be under 30 minutes. It might be 2 videos that are each 18 minutes, so more than 30 minutes, etc. Okay, so then in this example, after the valuable sample on the landing page, what happens? The first thing that we need to happen is not some really cool email sequence that starts going out, nothing like that. In fact, as soon as a person enters their name and email address to get your sample, the real first thing that happens is, what's their experience now? Were they redirected to nothing, so therefore not redirected? Did it just show a little success message on your same page, and now they're just sitting there and they're going, okay, well, X, because there's nothing else to do on this page I signed up? Or have you developed a super smart thank you page? There's so much missed opportunity with thank you pages. And actually, there's a person here, I shall not mention you by name unless you want to mention yourself by name in the chat, but there is a person here, y'all, who had a free masterclass people could sign up for. When they signed up for it, she took them to a thank you page that had an unlocked, an extra training for them. And this was one of the formats that we shared in our whatever, Allie, never mind. Anyway, it took them to an extra training that they could watch immediately, and gave them some like, yeah, bonus, this is cool, thanks for signing up for this thing. The thing that happened was some of the people, not everyone, but some of the people went and watched this additional training, right? And this person may or may not have just private messaged me. Are you talking about me? Yes, I am. But I'm not mentioning you by name unless you want to be mentioned by name. Anyway, people watch this additional 12-minute, 10-minute training. And this person, and in this additional training that people unlocked immediately for signing up for whatever, this person, I keep almost saying your name, so I'm going to continue saying this person, invited them to get on a one-on-one call with her, where she was able to pitch a more intense service. So in this case, right, Julie, coming back to your instance, okay, go for it. Gosh, thank you, Evelyn, because if I had to say this person one more time, I was probably going to slip anyway. So with Evelyn, she instituted a really smart thank you page. So using some of what she did. So Julie, you would have this valuable sample that people are seeing where they're like, hey, I can get this training that's going to show me her system for making a month's worth of content, and then also where she finds the best images, how to use them ethically, and how to graphic design them wonderfully. It's not the wording you would use on your page, but they're like, oh my gosh, this sounds great. Name, email address, boom. I'm rerouted to a thank you page. There's a video of Julie looking happy, just like Evelyn did, looking happy, right? Where it's like, hey, the XYZ is on its way to your inbox within the next like 5-10 minutes. But while I have you, you just actually, and you would say this part first probably, you had just unlocked an extra bonus. There's like you don't have to take any further action. But here is this 8-minute quick training or quick whatever, blah, 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 that you can watch right now to whatever. And so now, Julie, you're smiling, you're happy, and you give some extra thing they weren't even expecting. And during this video or linked under this video or whatever, you actually offer them the full product that you're going to be offering. Hey, for the next whatever, when I typically when Allie and I in regular times, if you will, are selling a product that's a low price point in relation to our audience, we will only give a few hours. Like literally, we're talking, I mean, if you're deciding on a $17 thing, we'll have like a countdown timer that has given you like 12 hours or whatever the amount of time is, 2 hours. I don't know. I've seen people do 15 minutes. You have to make the decision in 15 minutes. We don't personally do that, but whatever. During these times, if you're using a countdown timer, you might give a little more time than that, right? But anyway, so as a part of watching this video or under the video, they see that if they order your planner within the next 24 hours, whatever it is you want to do, 48 hours, they are actually getting a X% discount. They're actually getting X dollars off. And this is all happening on the thank you page. The thank you page is like, hey, thanks so much. You just unlocked a bonus on how to blank, blank, blank. You can watch it right now. And this is a great thing to spend your time on while you're waiting the 5 or 10 minutes for the XYZ to show up in your inbox, the thing you actually signed up for. So then the video is happening. And again, in the video itself, or under the video, you are now making this offer. If you don't want to do video, y'all, this next thank you page that people are redirected to could just be a text and images. I've done that before, where you signed up for something free, you went to the thank you page, it's like, you're in, but by the way, something very related to what you just signed up for is on sale for 97 bucks. Do you want it? And like that page itself converted like 200 customers for what I was doing. So anyway, a very smart thank you page. And so let me put that here. And then I promise I'm almost done, y'all. But I guess if you just need to hop off, do that. A very smart thank you page that has those extra features. And then we're now worried about the, hold on, you can do it, Regina. You can do it. I don't know why you just pasted that in there. Then we hop over to the emails that you would send out and follow up. And the thing about these emails, in my opinion, is you're going to have to probably repeat some of what is in the sample, because you're going to assume that not everyone actually used your sample, watched your webinar, did your 3-part, 7-part video series, whatever, downloaded your free audio course. You need to assume that not everyone did it. And you definitely need to assume that even if every single person read the whole thing, watched the whole thing, you can actually still repeat yourself, and it just increases trust to hear something more than one time, increases familiarity, et cetera, et cetera. And so now we have our smart email sequence. So you're going to repeat some of the stuff that you said in this email sequence, but you're also going to be hopefully selling your binder, selling your planner. So we go over a lot of the best kind of emails that we recommend inside this session. You know, Allie and I have probably like 7, I think 6 or 7 specific sales emails that we use pretty regularly. It's a formula for the email itself, or a theme for the email itself, so you can use it a million different ways. But anyway, you'll do a smart email sequence that helps sell the product. It reinforces some of what they would have, should have learned in the sample, and then it is introducing the product. I would say for a low price product, you could probably start mentioning and linking to the buy page from the very first email, but you might wait until the second email or something like that, just depending on what you're trying to do. So the smart email sequence. And then one thing that we like to add, just kind of as a catch-all, if you will, which is not really a proper term for it, but what you have is you have people finding you, they're landing on the sales page. They're landing on the page of the sample, so a free sample. They're deciding to sign up for that. They're doing it. They're getting, they're being redirected to this really cool thank you page that offers them the paid thing. The emails are offering them the paid thing. Do keep in mind, there is a scenario in which you skip step 2 and you're directing people directly to your product, especially in your instance, Julie, where it's a very specific person. It's an interior designer. They have these needs. They might not need this whole sample and all of this in order to make the decision. So you would actually have more than one funnel running, if you will. And that's like something I did. I created a product towards the end of last year that was in a different, like more health and wellness space. And I did people using ads, which is our last session. I did people, this is okay, word this better. I directed people straight from ads who'd never heard of me before to a sales page, and was selling a product that's under $50. Okay, so it doesn't always need to be a sample, but in this example we did. All right, so we did all of these things. What we like to add as what, again, like this catch-all, again, it's not a great phrase, is one of a couple things. You could actually do both. Number one, you could do retargeting ads, where anyone who, whether you found them in a free way, they came from a podcast, whatever it is that you did, anyone who's landed on this sample page but didn't sign up for the sample, you could retarget them with an ad. Or anyone who did sign up for the sample, which you know because they would have landed on the thank you page, but did not purchase your product, which you would know because they've never been on the page that's like, yay, you just purchased, confirmation, we got your money. That's not what the page would say. You could retarget those people. So they were interested enough to get your free lessons, but they didn't buy, I'm going to retarget them with something special, a limited time offer, a bonus that I've added to the thing, or just putting it in front of them again. That's one way. So you could do retargeting. The other thing to consider is a sales surge event, such as a specific webinar. So now let's say, Julie, or anyone still listening to me, anyone who's still here in the room, you had all of these people, anyone who landed on your thank you page has signed up for your free offer. So they had enough motivation to fix their problems or grow their whatever that they're trying to grow or transform. They had enough motivation to do that, to at least sign up for some free sample that helps them do that, okay? Or it's theoretically helps them do that. So let's say that you have, and let's take this and come down here. Let's say that you have now 100 people who have signed up for this free sample. And I will clarify, this is people. And I will also change the size of this because this is large. Okay. All right. Doesn't matter, Regina. It's not that important. I know. All right. Hold on. Okay. So you have 100 people who've signed up for this. Okay. And you send your smart email sequence. Cool, cool, cool. Between the thank you page that was converting people and the smart email sequence, let's just say, and this is a high conversion rate. So I'm just throwing something out here for ease of doing all of this. Let's say you have 11 customers by the time the email sequence is done sending. And this can be on an evergreen loop, y'all, right? This doesn't have to be that, you know, on April 1st, this page is made available, and then on April 2nd through 8th, this email sequence goes out, and then it never happens again. This can always be happening. So now we would say for every 100 people you get signed up, let's say you have 11 customers. This is a high conversion rate, and so that would mean one of a couple things. Well, the most likely thing it would mean, well, no, let me go with two. This means a couple things. Either what you're selling is at such a price point that it's converting a lot of the people, or you like maybe, yes, you've just done an epic sales job, or your targeting is really on point, right? Meaning you have, through the means that you did, through the ads that you did, through the podcast guest appearances you did, you have targeted the right interior designers who are ready to do this, they're ready to invest, blah, blah, blah. They don't have a problem with your $70 price tag, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you are converting 11 of every 100 people. Because then you can just scale up what you're doing in theory. There's more that goes into it, but that you just get on more podcasts like that. You do more ads like that, or you expand the audience that you're doing ads to, etc. Okay, but let's just say you had 100 people sign up for this thing, you have 11 customers. That means you have 89 people who said no for now. So what Allie and I like to do sometimes is introduce a sales surge event. One such event would be a webinar. Another example would be maybe hosting like a live challenge. There are a lot of things that you could do, but a webinar would be a really great thing, which in our instance would be a sensitive webinar. So instead of selling your bootcamp in this example, you would be selling your planner with a sensitive webinar. And now you are collecting all these 89 people who have not purchased, and you're saying, hey, there's this free webinar, and now you make it on a slightly different topic, right, Julie? You pull your planner. I think one of the things that you said in your planner was, you know, self-care for interior designers. You had some other sections in there that I thought were really excellent. So now you pull one of those other things and you create a really cool webinar on that thing, or you just mess up your whole slide, whatever you want. You create a really cool webinar on that thing. And so if the one thing that you got them on was their social media content, this might be how to plan, how to use an email list as an interior designer, right? How to build and use your email list. Or it might be, you know, whatever related to self-care, but something people would think, oh yeah, I'll spend an hour learning that. So now you offer all those 89 people this really cool webinar that still is in the realm of I'm helping you organize and, you know, prioritize your business and your work-life balance. Anyway, so all of you 89 people, hey, come to my webinar. Not everyone comes, but that's fine. But let's say you have 20 of these people take you up on the webinar offer, and you have 8 people show up live, and then you convert an extra 3 customers. But it could be a lot more than that. You could have 45 people click, yeah, I want to watch that webinar. 28 people show up live and 8 more customers, because now they've seen you more. They liked the topic. They go, oh, I didn't know you can do that. Oh, it's in the thing. And then now think about it, y'all, is the reality is, if Regina can type, the reality is, if you keep doing the same thing, getting the same types of people and giving them the same offer, now you really have 19 customers for every 100 that you're able to target. So does that kind of make sense? And so maybe this sales surge event, you do that same webinar live twice a month. I had a friend who did hers live every week for a year, but was making crazy sales. I'm not even going to say the
And there's a
figures.
secret step here that we talk about definitely in our deeper trainings that we're going to do in the boot camp thing. Is there's this, a lot of the sales happen after step 5 in the email sequence. There's like,
True.
you have just like you had an opportunity with the thank you page, you have another opportunity to convert people who attended, maybe had to drop off, and then you can pack in this value and then get an extra, if you skip that step, you may be skipping out on several more sales that would have happened.
Agreed. Super agreed. Thanks for pointing that out. So would you start this process and selling a pre-sale thing before the product is ready? If so, how far in advance? I personally would, and do a lot of the times, offer something for sale before it's ready. For me, I would only do it if I have a lot of the content already on my drive. I've written it, I've done it, or it's created in some format, thus that I know I can finish this thing, I can do this thing is going to be valuable. So I would only do it if I'm like relatively sure I could finish it, right? But yeah, I do this a lot because if you got, and Julie, you've been doing what you do for forever, you got the experience, you can finish it. If you get that first paying customer, it's going to, really light that fire, that flame of, let me get this done. I have a paying customer. Oh my gosh, right? And even those of you who've been in business for forever, like you, Julie, you still get excited when somebody turns over their money to you right now, right? So anyway, so doing it before it's ready, yes. However, right now, well, during more standard times, we probably would have told you less than a month, right? If they're buying something, probably put less than a month, 4 weeks between when they paid money and when they're getting the thing. When we're talking about either digital products or print products, things like that, that it's just like, okay, I know it takes a lot to write a book or a binder, but it doesn't, I'm not going to buy your book 6 months in advance, right? Unless you are maybe Trevor Noah or whoever I got back there, but whatever. So that's what we normally say. During these times, 4 weeks? Oh my gosh, that sounds like next year right now, to be honest, and to me. So it would be, does that sound good for your audience, or does that sound like, well, why don't you sell it in 2027 then, if you're gonna make me wait 3 weeks and 8 days, which I don't know why I said that like that, but anyway, 4 weeks and a day.
I would say like the ratio of uncertainty into the world to your timeline, you need to be shorter. Yeah, bring it closer, bring your deadline closer.
So if that means that you only you wait to start selling it to where it'll be done in 2 weeks or it'll be done in 10 days, then that's what that means, because you want to, I mean, I guess there's not really a harm in trying. Like, even if you think that 4 weeks sounds like 2027 to your audience, there's not a harm in getting it up and getting it going. And for the one person who's like, oh, great, good, because for the next 4 weeks, I was planning on learning Portuguese anyway, so I'm glad that starts in 4 weeks. You'll have your outliers at all times, but that would be general. I would say 2 weeks or under now. Yeah, sorry. I hope that answered that. Allie, were there any other questions before we go? Thank y'all for being here live. We'll put the link if you guys want to join us. Honestly, the live classes by themselves. Oh, go ahead, Allie.
No, I was just going to drop in that link one more time for you, because the price is not going to be better than this.
Thank you for staying till the end, Meg, Evelyn. Yes. Evelyn, it's really, yeah, it's just really the checklist, which you'll get in the slides.
It was the roadmap here.
Yeah, that's probably what you're talking about there. Hopefully that will help. Okay, good. What was I saying? Oh yeah, honestly, these live classes by themselves are way more than worth the price. Way more than worth your time investment, because these are going to help you frame and promote and sell pretty much anything, but we are going to target it on a boot camp or online workshop. So, you know, a single session training or a multi-session training, and we're going to target on selling sensitively during these times, but it's going to help you far beyond that. So we hope that y'all will join us for that, because literally this is the last day. No, yeah, 24 hours. We are shutting down sales of that because it starts on Wednesday. I love that. Definitely anyone who maybe just privately messaged me, I would like to talk about that afterwards. That would be great. We offer again at a different time.
Not the live, but we will have the replays available in the dashboard.
Yeah, absolutely. So if the time zone doesn't work quite well for you, which it is hard, because you know we have our customers in Australia, in Europe, in Japan, and all around, right? And so it's hard to get a time that works for everyone. So yeah, I would recommend diving into the replays and to the community live, because you'll probably have somebody else in the community. We have over 100 members now. You'll probably have somebody else in the community who's in a similar time zone as you are. Okay, y'all, thank you so much for being here live. Took a little longer than I intended here, but hopefully it was helpful and gives you a good idea of like the publishing landscape. Thank you so much for saying that. Any suggestions on selling an e-course? Oh, interesting.
We also have an online community. I can grab that Facebook link where if you have questions, you could get,
Yeah,
I would get feedback from other people who might be your ideal customers too.
definitely. Anthony, there is a private Facebook group called Get Paid to Talk, if you're not already in there. And if you join that, that would be a good place to pose that question and give as many specifics as you can if you'd like. But yeah, I do think there's, you know what I would, that's such an interesting question, Anthony, because you know what I might do? And Ali just put the link to the group in the chat. What I might do for something like that, right, where you're selling a course on doing something that people cannot do right now, right? Like how to start your own restaurant, or, I mean, I get technically people can do some of these things, you know, how to become a blankety blank that you have to do in person, right? Getting a gig on cruise ships, et cetera, et cetera. What I might do, instead of trying to just reframe it like, hey, well, you can't get a gig on cruise ships right now because they're not running, but, you know, take this course so that, you know, in X month that we're hopefully thinking they might be back up, and even though you might still be concerned about this thing, you'll get it then, right? Like, instead of doing that, I might save this wonderful course that you have and instead focus on something else that I could sell as a smaller book, ebook, boot camp, something that will still help that same person. So it might be literally just learning how to market themselves in general, you know, for getting gigs and stuff like that. Or it might be like just like a 101 overview of the cruise ship industry and how the back end of things work. I have a few friends when I was living in Mexico who, you know, worked on cruise ships, and like it was just a whole new world to me, you know. So you might have like a 101. You might have, so you might focus on a different area that could still help them and be of interest to them, and do it as like a smaller product. It's like an $18 download. It's like a $50, $100 weekend course or something like that, as opposed to maybe focusing on selling the product itself. Because then what happens is you're getting sales in theory, and you have this customer base built up of people who bought your $8 thing, your $100 thing. And now when it's a time that makes sense to be selling the full thing, you already have 100 more happy customers, 2,000 more happy customers. So that might I like that. Exactly. Evelyn says, for example, I teach corporate employees how to become culinary entrepreneurs. Now I'm sharing about how chefs can monetize their skills outside of the kitchen. And in general, I love your approach, Evelyn, because your approach was always like, you can make money outside of just independently prepping meals, cooking and prepping meals and then dropping them off at somebody's house, right? Like there are better ways and more ways to monetize your love of cooking than that. And so you're able to kind of focus on whatever makes sense. Okay. Anthony says, thanks, great ideas. Awesome. Thank y'all again so much for being here live. We're going to cut it here so that I don't continue to ramble.